Hey everyone, it's Sarah with RegisteredNurseRN.com, and in this video I'm going to be going over how to get into nursing school. What I want to do is I'm going to go over the typical steps it takes to get into a nursing program, and then at the end I want to give you some tips on how to increase your chances of getting into nursing school. So what is the first step? The first step is you want to decide what type of nurse you want to become. Do you want to become a licensed practical nurse or a registered nurse? Both are nurses, but they each have a different scope of practice. An LPN is a little bit shorter than becoming a registered nurse. So you want to decide that. Then step number 2 is you want to find some local programs in your area, and typically the best way to do this is to go to a search engine like Google or Bing and type in what type of program you want to go to and put in your area and search and see what it brings up. Or you can go to my website, RegisteredNurseRN.com. A card should be popping up, and you can click that link and it'll take you to a page and click where you live, what state, and you can see the most common nursing schools in your area. Then after you find some nursing schools that you're interested in, I suggest looking at about 2 or 3. You need to vet that nursing school. See which one meets your needs the best. And by doing that, I mean look at the tuition costs. Where are you financially? Look at financial aid, what scholarships are available, work study programs, things like that. We have a whole video on how to finance nursing school, and Ben gives some great tips on how to get nursing school paid for. Especially whenever you're on a budget. A card should be popping up and you can watch that video next after this. Another thing you want to look at whenever you're selecting a nursing school is you want to look at these things. You want to ask about the NCLEX pass rates. Typically, nursing schools will post this on their website, but if not, email them and ask them, because this gives you a good idea of how well those students were prepared through their program whenever they sat for their NCLEX exam, which is a licensing exam to allow you to practice as a nurse. Typically, a 95% or higher is good, so ask that. Next, you'll want to ask about clinical sites. What type of clinical sites are offered for the student? Do you get to go to a variety, or are you just stuck in one certain place? Because this is really important whenever you're trying to get experience and seeing what area you want to enter into whenever you enter the profession. And then last but not least, one of the most important is looking at accreditation. How is the university and this program accredited? You want them to at least have national accreditation, but regional accreditation is the best. And that is typically posted on their website, but if not, ask about that. Okay, after you vet the nursing school, you'll want to look at the requirements to get into the program. Typically, maybe you're in high school or you're thinking about going to nursing school in about a year or so. You'll want to look at these requirements, jot them down, print them out. They are typically found on the nursing school program's website. If you can't find them on the website, you could always email someone in the department and ask them, what does it take to get in? Because it's usually a list of things that you have to do over time. So some things you want to be paying attention to. You want to look and see if there is an entrance exam required prior to admission. And if there is, what entrance exam is it? Is it, for instance, the ATI TEAS exam or the HESI A2? If so, I have a video on how to study and prepare for those exams if you do have to take that, and what you have to score, and is it required for admission. Next, you'll want to see what G.P.A requirements are, because a lot of programs are competitive and they list G.P.A requirements. So you want to make sure that you're getting that in your prerequisite courses or your high school G.P.A. Next, you'll want to look at vaccination requirements, because a lot of programs require you to have your vaccinations up to date. So if that's the case, you may want to be making a doctor's appointment and getting all your vaccinations up to date before you can enter your clinical sites. Then see if they have an interview that you have to complete prior to admission, if you have to submit a personal statement like an essay on why you want to become a nurse, and when the application due dates are, because many nursing programs are very strict on when you submit your application, and if it's submitted after this date, they won't even look at it. So you want to make sure that you are prepared for that. And then last but not least, which will go into my next point, is look at all those pre-req classes that you have to take prior to getting into the program. So, for instance, a lot of traditional BSN programs, a Bachelor's of Science of Nursing degree, they require that you take anatomy and physiology, microbiology, Englishes, literatures, all these classes before you actually apply to their program. So you want to make sure you're meeting with an advisor or keeping in contact with your advisor and making sure you're taking the correct classes, because I have heard of horror stories of people saying, well, I thought I was supposed to take psychology and sociology, both of them, but I ended up not even having to take that, and I didn't take this class, so I have to wait a whole semester before I get into the program. So always make sure that you are taking the right classes. Then make sure that you are scoring at least whatever they require in those certain classes. For instance, a lot of nursing programs require that you score at least a C or higher in anatomy and physiology, microbiology, those science classes. So make sure you're keeping up with that. Then after you've completed all those prereq classes, make sure you meet that application due date and submit your application to getting into the program. And then that starts getting the ball rolling. So what are some tips on some things that you can do to increase your chances of getting into nursing school? Because we know it's really competitive out there. Okay, one thing I suggest doing is volunteering or job shadowing, especially while you're waiting to get into the program. Maybe you're in high school, or maybe it's going to be a while. But go to a hospital, see if they have any volunteer positions. Usually they always do, because they love getting free labor. So go there, apply for a position and volunteer, or job shadow a registered nurse. This will help you get some experience, see what they do, and maybe what specialty you want to enter in whenever you actually become a nurse. Next, start lining up some references, because with most applications into nursing programs, they want letters of reference or a list of references, and you usually can't use your friends. So this will be another great way. If you volunteer or job shadow, you can get maybe that nurse you job shadowed with to be a reference, or professors in those classes you had to take with your prereqs. So be lining up those references and make sure you have good references. And last but not least is prepping for that entrance exam. Really, this is one of the most important things, because nowadays nursing school programs are really competitive and they're requiring students to take an entrance exam. So I highly recommend that you prep for this exam at least a month in advance. Buy the study guide for the exam that you're specifically taking, and look at when your nursing program is administering that exam. They'll have that listed usually on their website, so sign up for that test date. Don't let it catch you off guard, and start studying for it, because nowadays you have to score at least a certain score on the exam in order to even get into the program. And some schools have taken it even a step further and only allow you to take the exam once in a 12-month period. So you want to make sure you're looking at those requirements and prepping for that. So thank you so much for watching, and please check out all my other videos on nursing school, the teaching tutorials to help you throughout nursing school, and please consider subscribing to this YouTube channel.